Eva sighed, stretching luxuriously before rising to her feet. The air shifted. I blinked up at her, dazed, breathless. She watched me with quiet amusement, then reached for the first button of her blouse. "Well," she murmured, slipping the fabric from her shoulders, a slow, knowing smile curving her lips. "I suppose I shouldn't just sit and watch." Before we go any further, please take a quick second to hit like and subscribe. It's quick, free, and helps more than you know. Thank you. Now let's get started. If I don't feel a real man's hands on me soon, I might actually lose my mind. The words came out before I could stop them. Too raw, too desperate. But after 3 years of frustration, 2 glasses of wine, and exactly 0 thrilling nights, I wasn't interested in pretending anymore. Eva choked on her drink, then laughed. "Damn, that bad." I groaned, shifting in my seat. "Worse. My ex was, let's just say, not exactly exciting. And now, I thought being single would be fun. Turns out, it's just a lot of bad dates and even worse options." Eva smirked. "So what's stopping you from just picking someone?" I let out a bitter laugh. "Oh sure, let me just grab the nearest available guy and hope he's worth it." The truth was, I didn't want just anyone. I wanted to feel wanted again. Eva studied me for a second, then exhaled through her nose, like she just made up her mind about something. "You know, I think I have a solution." I narrowed my eyes. "If you're about to suggest some app full of creeps, I swear." "Nope," she cut in smoothly. Then, with a slow sip of wine and a smirk that sent a shiver down my spine, she said it. "You should borrow my husband." Silence. I blinked, convinced I misheard. "I'm sorry, what?" She shrugged, completely unfazed. "You heard me." I stared at Eva, waiting for her to laugh, smirk, anything to tell me this was a joke. But she just sipped her wine, as if what she just said wasn't completely insane. "You heard me," she said again, her voice calm, casual. I let out a nervous laugh. "You can't be serious." "Why not?" Because that's your husband, Eva." I shrugged and blinked. "And do I really have to explain why that's insane?" Eva leaned in, eyes glinting with amusement. "I think you're trying a little too hard to sound shocked. You weren't exactly offended by the idea. You were just surprised." "Obviously I'm surprised." My voice was higher than I intended. "Who says something like that?" "A good friend," she smirked. "One who actually cares about your suffering." I groaned, pressing a hand to my forehead. "You make it sound like I'm some tragic case." "You said it yourself, you're miserable." Eva tilted her head, studying me like she already knew the ending to this conversation. "And you deserve better." I swallowed. Even if I was crazy enough to consider this, which I'm not, what about him? Does he even know you're saying this? Eva's smirk widened. "Oh honey, do you really think I make offers like this without checking first?" A strange heat curled in my stomach. "Wait, you mean he?" She took another slow sip of wine, like she was savoring my reaction. "I told him earlier." He didn't exactly complain. A pulse of something electric ran through me. I didn't know what I was expecting, but the idea that her husband was already on board. "Oh my God," I breathed. Eva grinned. "Told you. He's an incredible man. And trust me, he knows how to take care of a woman. I'd never offer you anything less than the best." My mouth went dry. She sat down her glass and leaned in, her voice dropping to something softer, smoother. "So tell me the truth. If you weren't overthinking it, if you just let yourself feel what you want, would you say yes?" I should have laughed. Should have changed the subject. Should have said no. But I didn't, because deep down I already knew the answer. Eva must have seen it in my face, because she exhaled, satisfied. "Thought so." I forced myself to breathe. "This is insane." "Maybe. But doesn't it sound exciting?" I didn't respond. Couldn't. Eva watched me closely, her finger hovering over her phone. "Last chance. Tell me to stop and I will." Silence. I parted my lips, ready to say something. Anything, but nothing came out. Eva smirked, then tapped the screen. Single message. Come now. Quiet ping. She met my gaze and smiled. He's on his way. It didn't take long for him to arrive. A knock at the door. A slow exhale from Eva. My pulse hammered. She stood, smoothing her dress. Nervous. I swallowed, nodded. She smiled like she expected that. Then she opened the door, and there he was. Confident. Unshaken by what was about to happen. Eva smirked. You're early. Her husband stepped inside, eyes already on me. Not in a rushed way, not in an obvious way, but in a way that told me he knew. You're even prettier than she said. My stomach flipped. Eva laughed, looping an arm around his. Told you. A slow, deliberate once-over. Nothing overt. Nothing obvious. But I felt it. So this is her. This is her, Eva confirmed. His lips curved slightly. Not a smirk. Not a smile. Just approval. Eva turned to me, extending a hand. Shall we? My breath caught. This was it. The last moment to walk away. The last moment to pretend I hadn't already made up my mind. I didn't take it. I didn't have to. Because before I could even decide, he reached for my other hand. And just like that we went together. The moment the door shut behind us, his hands were on me. There was no hesitation, no slow build-up, no uncertainty, just raw heat. His mouth captured mine instantly, deep and unrelenting, sending a rush of sensation through me. It was electric, breath-stealing, intoxicating. I melted into him, my body pressing against his as his hands roamed my back, firm, claiming, deliberate. Eva's soft laugh echoed behind me. Now that's better, she murmured, voice rich with amusement. Then her hands glided over my shoulders, a delicate contrast to his firm grip. A shiver ran through me. I barely had time to react before she reached for the straps of my dress, slipping them down inch by inch. The warmth of his breath against my skin. The slow, teasing pressure of Eva's touch. I was completely surrounded. Completely lost in it. And I didn't want it to stop. The dress pulled around my waist, and Eva exhaled softly, her voice a silky thread against my ear. You're stunning like this, she whispered. His lips moved along my collarbone. Deliberate. Steady. Still nervous. Eva murmured. I didn't answer. Couldn't. Not when his hands settled on my waist, confident, guiding me backward. I sank onto the mattress, breath uneven, pulse hammering. He followed, moving with unshaken assurance, his presence filling every part of my awareness. Eva sighed, stepping away. I barely registered it, not until I heard the soft rustle of fabric as she settled onto the couch nearby. Go on, baby, she purred, voice smooth, teasing. Let her feel what I already know. A deep sound rumbled in his chest. Then his touch drifted lower, trailing heat in its wake. My breath caught. A wave of sensation rolled through me, my body responding instinctively. His hands held me steady, firm yet measured, guiding me deeper into the moment. Eva hummed in approval. Oh, sweetheart, she murmured, her fingers tracing along my arm, feather light but electric. You should see yourself right now. Heat flushed through me. I should have been thinking. I wasn't. I was completely lost in it. His touch, his presence, the way Eva's voice sent a fresh thrill through me. Eva leaned forward slightly, her fingertips ghosting over my skin in slow, lazy circles. See, she whispered. I told you he was good. I barely heard her. I couldn't focus on anything but the slow, spiraling pleasure unraveling me. Eva sighed, stretching luxuriously before rising to her feet. The air in the room shifted, subtle at first but undeniable, like the moment before a storm, or the hush before a symphony begins. I blinked up at her, my vision slightly blurred, dazed and breathless, as if I had just surfaced from deep underwater. She stood still for a heartbeat, her eyes fixed on me, glittering with quiet amusement. There was no rush in her movements, only certainty. A calm, magnetic presence that drew me in without a word. Then, slowly, deliberately, Her fingers moved to the first button of her blouse. "Well," she murmured, her voice low and velvety, the sound curling around me like smoke. "I suppose it's time I join the fun." She didn't just remove her blouse. She let it slip, the silky fabric gliding down her shoulders like a whispered promise. Each inch of bare skin revealed felt intentional, like a ritual unfolding. The moment felt sacred and wicked all at once. She stepped forward, unhurried, graceful, and powerful in her stillness. Her presence filled the room, undeniable, commanding every breath I tried to take. My chest rose and fell in quick succession, air escaping me before I could catch it. My breath came fast, uneven. My pulse pounded beneath the surface of my skin, louder than thought, louder than sense. Then I felt her touch. Her fingers, cool, featherlight, brushed my arms. They traced from the curve of my shoulders down to my wrists, leaving a trail of fire in their wake. The sensation was electric, intimate, utterly new. "She's ready," Eva murmured, her voice a slow, confident promise. It wasn't a question. It was a knowing. Beside her, her husband exhaled deeply. The sound was quiet but heavy, as though he, too, felt the weight of the moment. His hands found my waist and settled there. Steady, firm, grounding. The air between the three of us thickened, heavy with tension and anticipation. Nothing needed to be said. Everything was understood in the silence. I barely noticed when my own hands reached out and curled into him. It wasn't planned. It wasn't even conscious. I simply needed something solid to hold on to, because the ground beneath me felt like it was shifting. Then, suddenly, everything inside me tilted. A wave of sensation crested over me. Unexpected and overwhelming. It stole the air from my lungs and replaced it with something hotter, deeper. Eva's breath brushed my ear, sending a fresh shiver along my spine. Her voice was soft, but firm with intent. "That's it," she whispered, coaxing me deeper. "Let it happen." Her husband's hands moved, guiding me, slow, patient, but unrelenting. There was no hesitation, no uncertainty. Only intention. Only heat. I felt completely taken, entirely surrounded. Every part of me was being drawn into this moment. Eva's fingertips returned, tracing along the curve of my arm again, slow and deliberate, like she was mapping my response. His presence pressed in around me, solid, certain, anchoring me in a reality that no longer made sense, yet felt more vivid than anything I'd ever known. The intensity built too fast. Each touch, each breath, each heartbeat sent warmth spiraling through me, deeper and deeper, until it wasn't warmth anymore, it was fire. Eva's lips brushed my jaw. Her mouth was firm. Her intent was clear. "Breathe, sweetheart," she purred, her voice both a command and a comfort. "Feel every second of it." And I did. My body reacted before my mind could process. I shuddered beneath their hands. Everything inside me tightened, coiled, bracing for something I couldn't name. The pressure was rising, sharper, higher, with each passing second. Every movement they made was seamless, fluid, and controlled. Nothing rushed. Everything perfectly timed. I wasn't being pushed. I was being carried, guided toward the edge of something I could feel but not yet touch. Eva's mouth trailed along my collarbone, and even that simple touch shattered the last of my composure. Her presence didn't just heighten sensation, it magnified it. "You're stunning like this," she whispered, the words brushing against my skin like velvet. I heard her, but I couldn't answer. I couldn't even speak. I was too far gone, too deep inside the moment. The warmth, pull, the rhythm of everything surrounding me. It wasn't just desire anymore. It was gravity. It was inevitability. I didn't chase the feeling anymore. I let it take me. I chased it instinctively. No hesitation, no pause. My body moved on its own, pulled into the rhythm of something I didn't fully understand but desperately needed. The moment wasn't gentle and it wasn't kind. It was wild, consuming, and utterly real. I was caught in it, tangled in the intensity, overtaken by the raw force of emotion and sensation that had built to a blinding peak. There was no more thinking, no more logic. Just the burning truth of what I felt, and the surrender that came with giving in. Eva's lips hovered just beside my ear, her breath hot against my skin. Her voice came soft but filled with urgency, a teasing push that made my pulse stutter. "Let go," she whispered, the words wrapping around my spine like silk and fire. I gasped, the air catching in my throat as my entire body trembled. And then it happened. Her fingers tightened around mine, grounding me, tethering me in that moment as I shattered into 1,000 pieces. The release hit me like a crashing tide, wave after wave of sensation that was deep, endless, overwhelming. It unraveled me completely, stripping away every last ounce of control I had been holding onto. I didn't try to hold it back. Couldn't. His hold around me grew stronger, his arms tightening with purpose, drawing every last ripple of pleasure from my body like he knew exactly what I needed. It was consuming, total. The kind of feeling that hollowed you out only to fill you with something richer. Eva didn't let go either. Her hands remained on mine, calm, steady, full of intention, catching me as I spiraled down from that impossible high. I felt the kiss before I heard her voice, soft and close as she pressed her lips to my temple. "That's it," she murmured, like a lullaby meant only for me. Everything around me collapsed into warmth, like being wrapped in a cocoon of breathless stillness. The world had gone quiet, but not empty. There was something sacred in the silence, a gentle hum left behind by everything that had just happened. The aftershocks rippled through me, small, steady pulses of sensation that echoed what had just been. They weren't loud or sharp. They were tender reminders that the moment wasn't entirely over. It was still alive in the softness of my breath, the burn beneath my skin, the way my heart tried to steady itself again. I melted into the feeling, into the safety of it. I was weightless, boneless, completely unraveled, and completely at peace. Eva sighed beside me, a low, lazy sound, heavy with satisfaction. Her fingers remained tangled with mine, her presence still wrapped around me like a quiet promise. She didn't speak right away. She didn't have to. The silence stretched around us, thick, warm, and intimate. It wasn't awkward. It was heavy with meaning, rich with everything we had just shared. Nothing rushed, nothing broken. Then, her nails traced across my skin in a slow, featherlight stroke, a teasing afterthought that sent a final shiver across the surface of my body. A soft chuckle followed. "Told you we'd take care of you." I couldn't respond, couldn't move, couldn't even form a thought. My mind was still floating somewhere between reality and the place I had just come from. Just breathed, fully undone, completely taken. Every wall I'd built gone, every doubt silenced. All that remained was the truth of what I'd allowed myself to feel. Most people would probably say no to an offer like this. I mean, on the surface, it sounds reckless, impossible, something out of a fantasy you'd never admit to having. But let's be real, it's not that simple. Desire never is. So tell me, would you take the risk? Would you cross that line? Or is this the kind of thing that only leads to chaos, heartbreak, and regret? Let's debate in the comments. I want to hear every take, every perspective. Be honest, be bold. And if this story stirred something in you, don't just scroll past. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because more stories like this are dropping soon. And trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next.